Good evening and welcome. It is approximately 7:25. Welcome, Rockwell. Thanks for stopping in. On the 18th of July, it is happening live. I am here now with Cassius Morris, who I'm going to be doing a live broadcast with via Periscope, and via Skype. So what I'm asking you guys to do, if you've just joined in right now, if you can invite your followers in, I want to introduce you to Cassius Morris. That's Cassius. He is in the room right now. He is a podcaster. He's known as the Interview Kid. He has been podcasting for 10 years. It's going to be a killer interview. So I'm asking you, if you want to meet what I prefer to be the future of a future Jay Leno, a future David Letterman, a future, you name it, this is the young man that you're going to want to meet and have the time to spend with. So Cassius Morris is in the house. So if you're able to swipe to the right, invite your followers if you're on iOS. If you're on Android, swipe up, invite your followers. And the more followers we can bring into the room, the more attention we can bring to this. So that's what we're going to do now, is try to get as many people in the room before we go live with Cassius. So the more we can get, I'm hoping to get the word out there to as many of my followers as possible. This interview will also go ended up on YouTube. So when it's on YouTube, you guys won't see the chat. You'll be like, what the hell's that guy talking about? And it kind of goes like that. So thank you for joining me, and thank you for joining me for an interview with a young man. So I'm going to be flipping the camera over and putting it in a little bit different position as I get myself situated. So let me go ahead and flip around. So there he is. So I love how I have to adjust my camera when I'm live.
That's right.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, this is the one and only Cassius Morris.
Hello, guys. How's it going?
So, who is Cassius Morris?
I am a 16, almost 17-year-old podcaster, a digital media host and producer. I've been podcasting and hosting these kinds of shows and YouTube videos and such since probably the age of 9. And going strong, trying to build my brand. And, huge rock fan, love all kinds of music, Kiss, Rush, And, I just love what I do. Thank you for having me.
Yes, he is. That's right. What's up, Cassius? Cassius is a living legend. That's what I'm seeing in the chat room right now. I'm trying to pay attention to you as well as the chat room. So, tell me some of the people that you have interviewed, not just their name, because some people may hear a name and go, who? But who, what group they were with or what they're involved with.
Probably the biggest one I've done was with Eric Singer, the drummer of Kiss, we did one originally that was about an hour and a half, maybe 2 hours long, and then the last one I did was also 2 hours long with him, so that was big. I've had Bruce Kulick of Kiss. I've had the pleasure of meeting the entire current lineup. I've interviewed Larry the Cable Guy, the band Simple Plan, Eddie Trunk most recently. A pretty big list of people. It's I've done a couple hundred interviews at least, and all of them, regardless of the fame, I guess you could say, of the guests, have been a lot of fun.
And right now you work for some comedy store, or?
Yeah, I work at a local comedy club that's close by in the area. I gotta say it's a dream job. Comedy is my second passion next to music, and hopefully I'm going to be starting to tell some jokes soon as well. So
you haven't done the stand-up thing yet?
No, even though I've been saying for a long time. I'm going to be going on next week. I'm going to be going on tonight, tomorrow.
Yeah.
Eventually I will do it. But I have been writing. I have a 5-minute set worked out, and, it's not like I don't have the means.
But you've also interviewed some of the comedians, right?
Yeah, I've had some big ones. I've had Ari Shaffir, who hosts the Skeptic Tank, formerly on Death Squad. Brian Redband, who's Joe Rogan's podcast producer on the Joe Rogan Experience. I'm going to be hopefully getting Kenny versus Spenny, the two of them, pretty soon. I've had a lot of comics, and those are probably my favorite ones to do.
Love the Vimeo documentary, somebody just said. So listen, if you're in here, I appreciate if you want to invite your followers. The more we get in here, the more attention we bring to Cassius. Cassius is actually in the chat room. So what's your website? Can you put that in there on your chat room type that in the chat room so people know a way of getting in contact with you?
Yeah, for sure. My video might go off for a second, but I will do that.
Yeah, there it is. We see the worst case scenario is we see some weird rock group. I don't know who those guys could be.
That is the logo for my old podcast.
I'm trying to figure out who that is. I don't get.
That's me as Gene and Paul, and my co-host as Ace and Peter.
Oh, I see you. It's funny you should say that because I thought it was the Beatles for a second there. That's my idea.
Yeah.
That's my humor, by the way. There you go, CassiusMorris.com. So, right. And the Cassius Morris Show.
That's the name of the podcast. Everything you need is at CassiusMorris.com. Appreciate the support.
Oh, no, I appreciate your support. I appreciate you doing this. I've been promoting the hell out of this to try to get as many people to come to this as possible.
Awesome.
Trying to bring more attention to you than to myself. I actually referred to this. You are my third interview, and what I call it is Outside In with Hey Ken. My nickname is Hey Ken. It's a long story, and I call it Outside In because it's a fan's perspective looking in on somebody of some caliber of fame, and then being able to see, gee, will they do an interview with me?
I like that. No, I mean, I like I say, I think that's the best way of doing, these kinds of shows is that when you have somebody who is a fan of whatever the topic may be, you can hear a person's passion come through what they're saying. So it's always, I find, a lot more engaging to listen to.
And you're also a drummer.
I am, yeah. I've been playing for about almost 4 years. My kit's a little bit, it's not fully set up, but there's a little sneak peek there.
Look at that studio. I just love it. You know what I hope you'll do? Now, I'm never to put you on the spot, but I'm hoping you'll do is maybe shortly, or not if you can't do it today, is do a tour of your little studio there.
Yeah.
I know you tried to do one quite some time ago, but there was a problem with the signal and all, but now Periscope's gotten a little better with its feed. I would love to see a tour of the room where you broadcast, and what's around in there. That's just me.
Absolutely.
I'm a curious kind of cat like that. Just like to know that kind of stuff.
No, that'd be really cool. Yeah, usually my desk is turned around the other way, and this is what's always behind me. Just a little sneak peek. I got a Kiss poster. This one I just put up yesterday, and I put up a couple autographs and stuff that I found from the move. So I'm always surrounded by music paraphernalia and
look at that. I love it. And of course, Kiss. I know why Kiss. It's because, when you began as a podcaster, what was the name of that podcast? Wasn't it a podcast you had that was Creatures of the Net?
That's correct, and that's what the photo was of when I went off camera.
Yeah, Creatures of the Net. Totally, it's just totally cool. And how long did you run that for?
I did that show from 2000 and I think the tail end of 2008 until the beginning of 2015.
Wow.
Yeah, it was a long run.
So, and you've been podcasting now for 10 years?
I think it's actually 7 years now.
7. And you're 16?
16 turning 17.
So, hard to place it, but I'm going to go ahead and ask you this one. You're 17, sure. 18, 19, 20, 21. Where do you envision yourself hopefully being at the age of 21?
I think that's a great question. I mean, when I think about it, I hope that I will be doing stand-up already by the age of 21 for a couple of years, at least 3-4 years. Doing that, hopefully doing some kind of, I'd be interested in trying out terrestrial radio, just to kind of build some kind of following, or just some kind of radio gig, maybe something was serious, but I don't know if that would happen by the age of 21, but I would like to be hosting something, if not the Cassius Morris Show, but just on a bit of a higher platform.
I love it that somebody wrote in there, that reporter kid, that also known as that reporter kid, the podcast kid, a lot of hooks that go with it. Now, speaking to an earthling, what the hell is terrestrial radio?
Basically, basically terrestrial radio is just what you turn on in the car.
Okay, yeah. So it's not like Siri, like what Howard Stern does. He does.
Yes. He
Right.
has Sirius Radio, and
Right.
XM.
Right.
Well, he's not on XM, but Sirius and XM are satellite, so basically it's a subscription-based service. Terrestrial radio is just kind of like the, Q104 or whatever your local rock station would be. I'd hope to be on one of those just for some experience.
Now, I have had the opportunity to speak with some program directors of radio, because ever since I was a very young kid, I've fantasized about wanting to be in radio. And from talking from program directors in radio, their nice way of putting it to me was, don't do it. because it was like cutting your own throat, because it's like all they care about are the numbers. They could say you have the greatest show on earth, let alone you got to worry about other people that are around you. I like the way Dr. Rich Dickerson, a talk show called The Love Doctor. As a matter of fact, he was involved with the start of the KISS Army.
Nice.
You may not know that, but now you do, and it's a true fact. Rich Dickerson was involved with, he was radio, and with the guy who created the KISS Army. They sort of got together to egg on this thing that created the KISS Army. And it was Rich Dickerson who had said to me, well, think of working in a radio station as walking down a hall made out of with plastic walls. And I say, why are the walls plastic? Because you never know who's going to cut your throat. Okay.
Wow.
Sounds like I really want to get into this business.
That's sure one way to put it, yeah.
I mean,
here's the thing.
I mean, I don't know if I'm too old now to fantasize about wanting to become a podcaster. Honestly, I know next to nothing about podcasting, except for the fact that, as far as I know, it's not live.
Some shows are live, but it's not a key aspect of podcasting. For example, Joe Rogan, he has what they call a TriCaster, which is it's basically like spending a couple grand and having a self-running camera crew in your studio. So he has that, and he broadcasts live with video. So does Joey Diaz on the Church of What's Happening Now. But, some shows do it. I've done it in the past, but I don't really see it as an essential part. And I also see it, in a way, it kind of lowers your numbers, because if somebody's watching it live, they aren't going to go download it.
Right. Now, there's Joe Rogan. There's another guy, Adam Carolla. Is that right? Is that the name I'm thinking? Adam Carolla. And both these guys... I don't know exactly where it is in the game of podcasts, but in my opinion, these guys are on top of the game.
Without question.
Okay, so see, that's just a guess. Just from the fact of listening to them and just how they deliver what they're delivering, I'm like, if these guys aren't at the top of the game of podcasts, I don't know who the hell is.
Yeah. Mark Barron's another one to list as well.
And that's excellent.
Yeah, they're at the top, and it was a pleasure. I'm going to go see Joe Rogan in Calgary this coming September for a stand-up show. I've got to speak with him on Adam Carolla's podcast before. I've got to have Adam Carolla on my show, and these guys are true professionals, and it's really that's where I would love to be. I mean, these guys are making a living, and they're multimillionaires, and their main living is podcast.
Exactly. Versus a lot of people, I think, are under the assumption that a podcaster makes a living off of podcasting, when I would think it'd be very fair to say that better than 99.9% don't make a penny.
That's absolutely... I mean, listen, I'll be up front. If I had to pay a mortgage off of podcasting, I wouldn't be able to do it. I mean, it's that simple. I mean, unless you have huge corporate sponsors flocking in to put you on, on their list for sponsorship. Other than that, there's really no way. And it's sponsorships that are out there for podcasting, such as Audible and NatureBox, are so saturated that it is hard. It is difficult.
Now, you know how I stumbled across you is, I'm sure it doesn't matter if I mention competition, because, as a matter of fact, I think you're a fan of the show. Mm-hmm. Three Sides of the Coin.
Yeah, they're great.
I'm going to tell you what, it was a blessing in disguise. Just searching the web, home, trying to find some other form of entertainment. I've heard of podcasts. Didn't have a clue, like, what the hell this is. I saw the name, and being a Kiss fan, duh, Two Sides of the Coin is a song.
Yeah.
Three Sides of the Coin meant, duh. And huge fan of their show. And then there was a show that I'm not sure if it was either you or I believe Mike was on your show, Mike Brandeville.
Yeah, Michael Brandvold was on my show. Yeah.
Right, and so when I saw that somehow that I knew who he was, and you came, and I'm like, holy shit, another a kid, with all due respect, who knows who the hell Kiss is, who's a huge Kiss fan, who's a podcaster. I'm like, man, this is like perfect, a perfect fit. It doesn't get any better than that.
That's good. No, I mean I was very thankful. I've heard a lot of people actually say, I heard of you when you were, and I mean, listen, Michael Brandvold literally mentioned that he said, I did the Cassius Morris Show podcast and it was good. He said that in a 3-hour episode, and so many people came to my show. I mean, it just from that comment, it shows his reach. And I mean, Michael, let's be real. He gets a lot of hate from a lot of Kiss fans and a lot of other Kiss podcasters. At the end of the day, I think most of them just want to be him.
I will go with, I totally agree in the fact that being, not to talk about his show versus yours, I'm sure you don't mind, but in all honesty, in watching Three Sides of the Coin, as I religiously do every Tuesday, they put out one hell of a product, and for him to have to put up with the shit that he has to put up with people who want to take something out of context, versus just as well as I'm sure you have to, you said something, but they heard that little blurb instead of the whole thing of it, and next thing is to know you killed President Kennedy.
Yeah. No, that happens a lot. I've got a lot of flack, on message boards and such for certain guests I've had on. Michael was one of them. I had a lot of bizarre people after me online for weeks afterwards just for associating with the guy. So people can be really weird, but I try to keep it positive. I don't focus on negative things, and it's just weird that people would take a 17-year-old doing a podcast in his Kiss room so seriously.
Yeah, like, come on. Aren't we got a lot of bigger problems to worry about in the world?
I should hope so. I'd love to think I was that important, but unfortunately I know I'm not.
So I'm glad that you all were able to join me. We're with Cassius Morris. I appreciate that you guys gave me a few minutes. Cassius, if you'll hang on for a few seconds while I X out and give us this chance to talk for a moment before you X out the Skype. Follow Cassius Morris. If you want to throw something up there on the screen there, Cassius, whether just your name or whatever, what your symbol is there at Cassius Morris on for what I'm talking about is for your Periscope.
Sure.
For your for Periscope, that's who I want you guys to follow. Is Cassius has done Periscope a few times. There's his Twitter and his Periscope. Please, I'm asking you, follow him. You're going to find yourself amazed over that. So, with that, I'll end my end of my interview here, and our conversation will continue a little bit here off camera. And I sure do appreciate your time, Cassius. And well, let me flip it back to you. So, thank you very much for spending a little bit of time with Outside In with Hey Ken, and please let me know what you think about this interview and Twitter. You know how to get me, love.sayken. I'm easy to find. I'm on Twitter. I'm on Skype. I'm on Instagram. I'm on your mom. I'm sorry. I'm pretty much easy to find, and on Periscope. So please give me some feedback on this. Let me know what you think of it, especially if you see in replay. You all, thank you for spending some time with me. Have a good time.